For a long time, the American middle class represented something very specific: stability, predictability, a life where effort slowly translated into comfort. You worked, you saved, you planned, and over time the pressure eased. That idea still exists in language, but in reality it has been quietly changing. Most people who consider themselves middle class today are not living extravagantly. They are not chasing luxury. They are trying to maintain what used to be normal: a safe place to live, reliable transportation, healthcare, occasional rest. The problem is not ambition. The problem is that normal became expensive. This change did not arrive suddenly. It arrived in small adjustments. Rent increased a little each year. Insurance premiums climbed without explanation. Healthcare costs remained uncertain even for people with coverage. Education became more expensive while promising less security in return. None of these shifts felt dramatic on their own. Together, they reshaped the ground beneath the middle class. Income did not collapse, it simply failed to keep up. Wages moved carefully while costs moved confidently. The gap between them became thinner. Margin disappeared first, then savings, then the sense of safety that once defined middle-class life. This is why many people feel like they are one problem away from instability. Not disaster, just disruption. A medical bill, a car repair, a temporary loss of income. Events that should be manageable now feel threatening, not because people are irresponsible, but because buffers were slowly removed. Debt became the replacement for those buffers. Credit cards, personal loans, payment plans. These tools allowed people to maintain normal life without interruption, but maintenance is not progress. Over time, borrowing shifts pressure into the future, making stability feel permanent while quietly eroding it. The middle class was never defined by wealth. It was defined by margin, the ability to absorb shocks, the ability to plan ahead. When margin disappears, the identity remains, but the experience changes. There is also a psychological cost to this shift. Middle-class life was built around expectations. If you followed the rules, things would work out. When that stops happening, people internalize the failure. They blame themselves for outcomes shaped by structural drift. Social comparison intensifies this feeling. Everyone appears to be doing fine. Houses are occupied, cars are driven, vacations still appear online, struggle becomes invisible. People assume they are falling behind while everyone else is managing. But many are not managing. They are coping. There is a difference. Coping uses energy without creating progress. It maintains appearances while draining reserves. Over time, this creates exhaustion rather than growth. The language around success has not adapted to this reality. We still talk about discipline, hustle, and personal responsibility without acknowledging rising structural pressure. This mismatch creates shame. People feel like they are failing a game whose rules quietly changed. The middle class is not disappearing because people stopped trying. It is disappearing because the conditions that supported it were slowly withdrawn. Responsibility was pushed downward while protection was reduced. Individuals now absorb volatility that institutions once buffered. Understanding this does not fix the problem overnight, but it reframes it. It replaces personal blame with context. It explains why working harder no longer guarantees stability, and why effort feels disconnected from outcome. The middle class is not gone, but it is thinner, more fragile, and more stressed than the image suggests. And recognizing that reality is not pessimism, it is awareness.